everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet this beautiful Copper Skies button wrap. This is a really versatile piece that you could wear like a little shawlette. You can wear it like a cowl. You can wear it like a wrap with sort of a collar like I have here. You can wear it like a almost like a capelet and draw it up in the middle. So it's a really versatile piece, and it's made with this new yarn from Red Heart, which we'll get to in just a moment, but it's super, super cozy and soft. And you can really have fun with the buttons as well. The finished piece, if we open up, you can see it's a simple rectangle. It measures about 17 inches wide and about 34 inches long. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a 6.5 millimeter K crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A ruler or tape measure is very helpful to get the width and the length that you like. And you'll need a large button. Now you can use, this is a vintage button that I've had for a while. You could use any number of buttons. Just make sure it's large enough to where it won't fall through the hole and can hold the piece together. So these are just a few I had on hand, but you'll need one large button to hold it together. And then your yarn. So we're going to try a new yarn for this project. This is a brand new yarn from Red Heart called Hygge. It's pronounced Hygge, and they even say in parentheses here, which is super helpful because this is kind of a new word for me. But this is a really soft, really soft, kind of fuzzy yarn. It feels satiny and very just butter soft. I am going to be using 2 balls of this. Each ball is 132 yards, and I have the rust color. So it's this perfect kind of orangey rust color for fall. If you need to substitute yarn though, just look on the yarn label and look for a yarn that recommends the 6.5 millimeter K crochet hook. This is also a bulky 5 on the yarn weight scale. And once again, I'm going to be using 2 balls of this, and each ball of this is 132 yards, 121 meters, 5 ounces, 141 grams. And I wanted to also point out that this is machine washable. So just as a side note, if you're making this for a gift for someone, they will absolutely be able to machine wash this piece as well. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my ball of yarn and my hook, and let me just zoom in a tiny bit so you can see a little bit closer what we're doing. So our starting chain is 48. So to begin, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook, wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Our starting chain is 48. So we're going to make a chain by wrapping yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, get some more yarn, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and 48. Okay, so here is our starting chain. And I always say if you're having trouble, and as you can see, it's nice and wide, it's going to be a beautiful drapey, kind of generously sized cowl. But as you can see, our starting chain is pretty loose. So if you're having trouble with tightness, you don't want it to be too tight. Go up a hook size for the starting chain only if you're having trouble with that, and then you can switch back to the K hook. All right, so for row 1 is super easy. What we're going to do in the 4th chain from the hook, we're going to work a double crochet. So this loop here does not count. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into that 4th chain from the hook that we just counted, bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops on your hook. Next, we're going to work a double crochet in each chain across. So I'm going to go ahead and work my double crochets all the way across in each chain, If you need to see that double crochet more slowly than how I'm doing it now, just back up to that first one that we did where we went really slow. Get a little bit more yarn here. And I'm going to continue working my double crochets. And then when I get to the end here, we'll rejoin and I will show you how to do row 2. So just keep going all the way across with your double crochets. As you can see, one row of these already gives you some nice height. So this is a pretty quick project to work through. Okay, I'm just working a last double crochet in that very last chain of our row. Okay, so row 1 should look just like this. It's a nice solid kind of band to get you started to build the stitches onto. Next, we're going to move on to row 2. So row 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. So as you can see too here, it's nice and wide. It's a very kind of comfy piece, which is the whole point of the philosophy behind the yarn and the name of the yarn as well. Okay, so this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So then we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, just like that. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. Okay, so this is an easy row as well. This whole pattern is easy, actually. It's a nice relaxing pattern. Let me get a little bit more yarn here. All right, so we kind of just already did the first repeat here. So then what we're going to do is the same thing. Skip 2 stitches, chain, chain 2, 1, 2, skip those 2 stitches, and in the next stitch, work a double crochet, and then in the next stitch, work a double crochet, just like that. So we're starting to get that kind of open look of this row. Okay, next, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 chains, or stitches rather, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Okay, do the next repeat, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches of this row. Okay, and I just have to say this yarn is so soft to hold in your hands, and it really just glides across my hook. I really love this yarn. So extra special thanks to Red Heart for this yarn as well. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So everything is in pairs of 2 here. It's easy to remember. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. And because of all this stitch skipping, that's a mouthful, all the stitch skipping, we're just breezing through this row really quickly. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Just like that. This is a simple little eyelet pattern, but it looks very pretty. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and look how quickly we got to the end of the row this time. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, work a stitch, or excuse me, a double crochet in that last stitch, and then what we have left is our turning chain. So in the topmost chain of our turning chain, we're also going to work a double crochet, and that will give us that pair of 2 that we've been doing all across. Okay, so you can see just how pretty everything looks. Okay, let's move on to row 3. Row 3 is going to be the last row I'm going to show you, because the rest of the pattern, we're going to just repeat rows 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, all the way across. So let's move on to row 3. Okay, so for row 3, what we're going to do, once again, is chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Now this chain 3, once again, counts as one of our double crochets. So in that next stitch, so you can kind of see how it lines up with the double crochet from the previous row, in that next stitch, over top of that next double crochet, work a double crochet, just like that. And then what we're going to do is work 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. So remember in the previous row, we did a chain 2 and that created these decorative holes. Right into that space, we're going to work 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2. Just like that. So that's going to create another solid band in between our eyelet row, okay? So grab a little bit more yarn here to get us through the row. All right, then we're going to work a double crochet in the next 2 stitches that we come to, 1 and 2. And now we're at that chain 2 space again, so work 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space. Work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Work 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space, 1 and 2. Work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Work 2 double crochets in that next chain 2 space that we created in the previous row, just like that. Work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Work a double crochet, or actually 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space. You can see just how quickly we've created this height and how quickly we're getting through these rows. Work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. That was 1 and then 2. 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. A little bit more yarn here. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, 1 and 2. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Once again, we're working in pairs of 2. It's a very, there we go. Okay, work a double, 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 and 2. A double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 and 2. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. 2 double crochet in this next chain 2 space, 1, whoops, and 2. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. We are almost there. Okay, chain 2 space. Work 2 double crochets in there, 1 and 2. Okay, so now we're at the end here, and how we're going to finish off this row is to work a double crochet in the next stitch, and then a double crochet in the topmost chain of our turning chain, just to finish things off. And you want to make sure you get it through 2 of those loops. See how I have that through there? It'll just make it a little sturdier. So to finish off your cowl, what you're going to do, now we have row 1, row 2, row 3 complete, and it should look like this. To finish off your cowl though, what you want to do is repeat rows 2, this eyelet row, and 3 over and over and over until it's as long as you need it to be, or until you run out of yarn, whatever happens first. So when we rejoin, I'm going to show you how to finish off your cowl, and we're going to add the buttons, whatever one you choose as your focal button. Just make sure that it's not too tiny, because we're going to use, you can either put the button through these posts here and use that as a buttonhole, or you can use this. But you want to make sure your button's large enough to pass through these eyelet holes, but not be so big that it can't, and not too tiny because it could fall through. This one might be a little bit too small. As you can see, it might kind of fall through. Okay, so let's keep going with rows 2 and 3, and we'll rejoin in just a moment and finish up our cowl. One little thing I wanted to mention also is as you're working on rows 2 and 3 of your cowl and you get to the end, just make sure you end on row 3, because you're going to get that nice solid band like when we started, and it'll look nicer from beginning to end. Instead of ending on the eyelet row, make sure you end on row 3 and it'll look more finished that way. Okay, so I'm just working that very last stitch of the row, and as you can see, I'm playing yarn roulette just a little bit here because I have the tiniest little piece left. I use exactly 2 balls of this yarn. So we can just fasten off. If you need to cut the yarn, feel free to do so, but I don't really need to cut mine. Okay, so our wrap is complete. Now I just wanted to show you how beautiful it looks and how it's so wide and just generously sized. So what I wanted to do next is show you how to do the buttons. Now, I personally had a little tiny yarn tail here and an even smaller yarn tail on this side. So I won't be sewing my buttons. I happen to have these buttons that screw on. I did a review of these a while back. I'll put the link down below, but these are really fun buttons and you can use them temporarily. They're not permanent buttons. You can just kind of like screw them on anywhere. They work sort of like if you've ever used a shawl pin or shawl stick. You can just kind of like tack them on. So what you'll want to do next is you can either put your wrap on, or you can just try and eyeball it. So what we're going to do next is lay it out so that the corner is, the 2 top corners are at the top here. And then we're just going to kind of like wrap it the way we would want to wrap it while it's on. Now this is where putting it on might be a little bit helpful. And then you can secure your buttons that way. And I wanted to show you, let me just show you how to put these on. You can also take a matching piece of yarn and a traditional button and sew a button on as well. But I'm going to show you how to do these. So if you tack this button on, you'll want to go in between here and then put this backing on. Again, I'll put the links down below so you can get the information about these buttons. I think these are really cool. They're like temporary buttons. So if you wanted to wear the same button on another piece, you could do that as well. And they just screw right on and they stay put really well. I've tried them on, personally before. So the other thing I wanted to show you is all these holes, these beautiful decorative holes they recreated, work like adjustable buttonholes. So you could button it kind of down here and let the front kind of flop forward. You could even like button the corner and make the bottom kind of drapey and loose. Really pretty. You could make it, you could even put your button in the center like this. Let me grab another one of these. This is a larger one. And make it like a little capelet or something like that. You could also button it in the back and spin it around to the front and really wear it like a traditional cowl as well. Okay, so the link to the Flux blog is below, and on there you can see all the different ways to style your wrap. So check that out. The last thing we need to do before we finish up is to weave in the ends. So grab your tapestry needle and we're going to weave in these ends next. Okay, so I have 3 different spots here. I have where I began, where I ended, and then where I joined the new ball of yarn. So this was a full ball of yarn, and then this was a full ball of yarn, okay? So all we're gonna do, now because this yarn is nice and fuzzy and a little bit chunky, it's gonna blend in really nicely when you weave it in. So if you need to give it a little fresh cut, Definitely do that if it helps. And then give it a little twist. Thread it into your tapestry needle. And then go in one direction into all those stitches. Just like that. And then what I like to do is pull it through. You need to like shimmy it in there. There we go. And then come back in the other direction to help lock that tail into place, okay? So just give it a little twist if needed. Sometimes when the yarn has a little texture, you might have to kind of shimmy the needle through. And then you can just trim that tail. And then repeat for the other tails that you have as well. Okay, we have our ends all woven in and it looks absolutely stunning. I personally cannot wait to wear this. This is one of those things where as you're working on it, you decide halfway through that this is yours, no one else can have it. So I really enjoyed making this. It's a very relaxing project and it is the absolute softest thing ever and I'm in love with this button. So that is how you crochet the Copper Skies button wrap. Thanks so much for watching and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.